Okay guys, so in this video we are going to talk about query parameters. So let's get into it. So what is a query parameter? Well, a query parameter is just a way for you to express that you want to send some information or key values with your request. And the way that it works is very simple. Let's say that you have a GET request here and you wanted to send, say, a username and a password with that request. Now, you should at no point ever do this. This is just an example, guys. I mean, query parameters can be used for many things, but they should never be used for a username and a password. Just no, 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 no. Always send that in a post request in the body of the post, like a form or something like that, and preferably over HTTPS or something like that. But for now, this is just a learning experience, right? So what we're doing here is that we're making a GET request to our root. And the way that you start your query parameter string is to put a question mark here. Now, the expected syntax is question mark key equals value. So what I'm saying here is that username is going to be equal to ASD. And if I want to add something after that, I use an ampersand. So the rule here is that the first query, you initialize the query parameter string by using the question mark. And if you want to add multiple keys and values, you simply use the and. So I can actually copy paste this and just keep on going like this forever. So, just have to redo all that good stuff. There we are. So, look at the auto formatter. How cool is that? Let's see if this works still. So I didn't destroy anything. See, this is what's so nice about unit tests. I'm unsure if I broke something, and now I just run them, and I know everything works. Awesome. So that's how it starts. You have a question mark, and then you put some stuff afterwards. Key value, that's the way that you use query parameter. So let's look at that. So what's happening here is that in Express, what we're going to have, like, we're going to get this on the request object, we will get a query object. And that's where the username and the password are. So we deconstruct this, extract those values, and then we just do a comparison. So if the username is equal to foo, and the password is equal to bar, then we return 200, otherwise we return 400. And as you can see here, this is the next text. This is the next test, basically. And then I have this other login example here where because I wanted to show you that like query parameters are included regardless of what path you are on. Like the path doesn't matter at all. You can put the question mark as long as it's just a question mark after the path itself. It doesn't matter what the path actually is. As long as you're following this syntax, everything's good in the neighborhood, right? So when would you use these query parameters? Well, a common use case is for searching, for example. If you make a search, like if you go to Google and you search on in their search box, you will notice that your URL, when you land on this results page, is most likely going to have a question mark and a Q equals to whatever you searched for or something like that. And that's a good use case for a query parameter. Another use case that I really like is to use it for pagination. Now, what is pagination? Well, if you have a page with, say, that you want to list all your users, right? Now, if you have 10 users, that's okay. I mean, you can grab 10 users from the database and show that to somebody who wants to look at those users, right? But what happens if you have 10 million users? If you have that many users, it's not possible for you to show all the users at the same time. So what you want to do is to do pagination. And once again, if you go to, say, Google and you search, you will notice at the bottom that you have these pages where you have the first page of results and then the second page, the third page, and the fourth page. And what's happening there is that Google is segmenting your results. They have maybe thousands of results, but they just show you the first 10 or 20 or whatever number they want to show you. And the way that you can do this is by using query parameters, which I think is pretty nice. So what I have done here is that I have a user's endpoint, and I have decided that, all right, I'm going to set a query parameter here, which is going to be equal to limit. Like I set limit equal to 0 and offset to 0. Now what I'm going to expect is to get back is all the users, because I haven't said that I want a limit on how many users I want to get in my request, and I haven't set an offset. So if we look at the code for this, here we are. So we have an object with 2 users, Bob and Anna. And here's the request. So what we're going to do is that we're going to parse the limit query, because we need to parse it into an integer, because when it comes from the network, in other words from the client into the server, it's going to be a string. So this value is a string, always a string. And so we parse it into an integer, and we parse the offset into an integer, and then we simply check if the length of the integer is greater than 0, then we return that value. Otherwise, we simply return the length of how many users, because if we said the length, like the limit is 0, then we want to get all the users, right? And the offset has the same type of behavior, where if there is an offset, we grab that value. Otherwise, we simply return 0 because there is no offset. And then we convert a little object of users here to an array, and we grab a slice. So first we're going to basically move, or we're going to create an array which has the offset of whatever offset is. So if it's 0, and yeah, basically if it's 0, we're going to return the whole array. And then we grab everything from the first part of that array to the length, which is, if it's 0, it's going to be the full array. So this is basically just saying that, all right, return the whole array if both those values are 0. And then we return that array. But what happens if I go and set limit to 1? Okay, I express that, all right, I don't want all the users, I just want the first user, because I have an offset of 0. So for the first user, just grab that first user. And as you can see in my test here, I expect the first user to be Bob. And that's exactly what's happening here. So my first user is Bob. So we do all this magic. So now the limit is 1. So offset is 0, which means that we get an array of all the users, and then we go from the 0th index to 1. In other words, the first user. And then we have the final example where I say I just want one user, but I don't want the first user. I want the second user. I want an offset of 1. I want to move one further into the array of users, right? So that's going to grab me Anna, because now offset is 1. So offset is going to skip the first user and then grab everybody else in the rest of the array. And then we're going to grab the length, which is going to be 1. And that's basically how you can, in a very easy manner, achieve pagination. Now, this is, of course, a simple example using an object, but this will work very similar when you use an actual database. I hope you found this useful. Have a great day.